This is Ben Brode, and you're watching Born to be Wild.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 150 of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun, hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone, and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It is great to be back on a beautiful Friday evening, joining you from Orange County, California, with some of my great friends. We are down one Hydralisk, but you know the rule on Born to be Wild: there must always be a Canadian.
This is the way.
Like a Lich King.
Exactly. So I'm joined tonight by three of my favorite people. Let's start with you, Blutrane. Welcome back. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Listening to the intro to the show, my brain has been programmed to hear the alternate version, so it was nice and also a little disconcerting to hear it in the unredacted, modified form.
I've done some quite a bit of editing for the Cosmo show.
just a little bit.
We have this thing, like, you remember way back on like a Nickelodeon, like you can't do this on television or whatever, and if you said the secret word, you got slimed. You guys ever watch that?
Oh yeah.
Am I aging myself? Anyways.
Also, yeah.
So on the Cosmo show, anytime somebody says RNG, we push the button and Ben Brode starts laughing. So it's so good. It's really bad, but it's like, and sometimes it's a little bit excessive. But anyways,
we can take creative liberties.
Right. SchmoopieDaddy, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. Broadcasting from the tri-state area of. In the New York portion of the tri-state area, and had a nice calm day of parent-teacher conferences today, so I'm feeling very relaxed for tonight's show.
I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
No, I really well listen, like I teach juniors and seniors, so like their parents know exactly what's going on, and like even if they're like messing up in class, like they don't come because they're just like, well, it's like, yeah, I mean, like this has been like 11 years of this crap, like I'm done with it. So
you're like
time for a lesson, insolent pup.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, go for it.
No, we're good. We don't have to talk about my work. I'll just disconnect from that quickly.
All right. Well, Electric Sheep City, welcome back. How are you?
Meowdy friends. I'm good, and hello from the delightful Denver area. Like spring's actually like happening. The
Delightful.
Exactly, Dame Hazelbark. Like the snow and ice in my backyard is actually like finally melted. It's like a shadow that goes over it, so it like stuck around even after it should have gone, but it's gone. So it's like, oh hey, winter's gone. Cool. Not in certain other parts of the country at the moment, but here winter is gone, which is fun. Seasons, whole new concept for me.
Not just hot.
We moved back to California and don't have any seasons anymore.
I acquired your missing seasons. So
okay. Well, I'm
out.
glad somebody could enjoy them.
It is a story of seasons. So, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how the show works. We record this very podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs. And the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all the podcast apps. So, however you're watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis, this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, especially the people who are here live on Twitch. It's super cool to hang out with you guys live and interact while we're doing the show. So appreciate that. Real quick housekeeping before we start the show proper. Wanted to say a big thank you to Shakunin, the executive producer of our show, and also to Armorn and the other patrons that we have. We appreciate your support. Anything that we get, we put back into the show. So we really appreciate it. If you're interested in Born to be Wild stuff, we do have some merch that's available on our website, borntobewildhs.com. If you're interested in supporting the show at all, you can leave us a like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, or a comment on any of the podcast apps. We do have some emotes that you can unlock on Twitch. If there's some free ones that you can get by liking or following. There's others that you can get by subscribing, which is free if you use your Amazon Prime. And finally, we do have a Discord channel. It's a really fun online community, friends that we've made all across the whole world. It's really fun to interact with, and you can find us there all the time. There's a link to it on our website. We'll put a link in chat as well. But that's where we go to like share news. We share decks, screenshots, and all kinds of stuff. The tradition lately has been to look at funny usernames. We've got a whole channel of them. It's kind of adapted to Marvel Snap as well, so we get usernames for both. In fact, I see a Schmoopie in there this week, which is pretty funny. But what else do we got?
He's dead if he's spending money in there. It's not me. So if he's in there, he's done.
So this show goes out to Potato Head, Tutu Gamer, Un Poco Loco. That's pretty good. Let's see. There's some that I just can't say. Yeah. Dr. Awkward. That's pretty good. Restart and the Pink Ranger. So there you go. Those are the funny usernames from the last couple of days. Anyways, yeah, it's been quite a week since we joined you last. I finally hit Legend, thank God. So here's what happened. Here's the full story, right? Last month, I waited until like the last day, and it was super stressful because I was like, what if I run out of time? What if I don't get it? Well, I'm super busy. What's going on? Like, I was like, I'll do it right away this time. And I did not do it right away. What I did was I hit Diamond 5 right away. Like I did Diamond 5 like right away. Like the night.
Beat me to D5, yeah.
I did it either like right after midnight, like the first day, or like the next day or whatever. And then I spent 3 weeks to go from Diamond 5 to Legend. So, and what I was trying so hard to like push Death Knight, and I was doing pretty good with an even unholy list. I had like a 60% win rate, but like it just was so polarizing, and I'm in like 10-star hell, and all I was facing is like these super greedy decks. Renathal Secret Mage, Big Priest. Everybody and their mom is playing Shutterwalk Shaman, which is just brutal as an aggro deck to play against. And it was like win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And after doing that for like 2 weeks, I was like, all right, enough. What's good? And these guys kept pushing me like, oh, the even shaman list is pretty good. Like, I don't want to play it. Well, yeah, but it's like pretty good though. I don't want to play it.
I feel like I kept mentioning it, but I'm like, that's like what kills a lot of jank, or just.
But like it was so good. So finally, I was like, I just like I got kind of angry. I was like, all right, that's enough. I'm playing it, and I queued it up. And I hit Legend with a 71% win rate with it. It felt like after playing like bad stuff for like weeks, I felt like I was playing on easy mode. Like, and I had a fun time. So last week after the show, I just wasn't tired, so I kept streaming. And then all of a sudden, it was like 3 a.m. But it was cool because Robot Killer, who we had on the show to talk about Blood Death Knight a while back, was in chat and sent me his most recent Blood Death Knight list. And so I played it, and then I all I was facing, I must have faced, I think it was 5 in a row of Shutterwalk Shaman. And I got so sick of it. I was like, all right, let's build the greediest, like terrible Blood Death Knight list that just beats up on Shutterwalk Shaman and the stupid like mill druids. And so with chat's help, like built the worst Blood Knight deck, but it was so fun because it like dunked on the Shutterwalk Shamans. It was playing like the Soul Stealer and all the like the cards that swap, like you would play and it swaps with the card from your opponent's deck. And it like, and then I play against like an even shaman and just get like destroyed, right? But I was able to beat the Shutterwalk. But anyways, it just was not something that was like actually viable. It was entertaining. But so here's the list. I ended up using the one from Tempo Storm. Not that I don't trust you, SchmoopieDaddy, but I wasn't sure about the ETC, and I don't know. This is like the standard list, right? And actually, it was kind of funny because I think that my legend boss was some like janky control warlock, and I ended up with lethal from a Gigatotem with Wind Fury and a Frostbite, and I was just like, oh, there we go. And it was great to finally, like, I sat down and did it all like in one sitting. So it was 28 games, which is a lot, but like,
It's more than two.
And maybe this is some old stats. If it's an old list, I don't know, but like it was really smooth sailing. And so, you know, I guess I'll have to wait to play new decks until, like the new stuff comes out or whatever. I don't know. But I gave into the dark side. I don't even feel bad about it. I really wanted to try to have fun. Like what did you say, SchmoopieDaddy, right? If you want to play like the Death Knight lists or whatever, like you got to play it on like day one when everyone is playing like the aggro decks, then you got to like, that's the time to play it. And we've talked about it on the show before. Like if you're going to do like a meta call and okay, if everyone's playing the aggro, then you play the control. Like, all right. Don't play the control, like the funky weird control into like the janky control weird decks that are unpredictable and because you're just gonna lose.
Greeted.
Yeah, it's just not worth. So anyways, and then my friends over here started playing classic and I was like, oh, I'm gonna play that too. And we'll talk about it in a minute, but like it's actually was like a blast, although I have like no bonus stars, so it's taking forever. But I got to platinum. We were joking like, oh, I could hit legend tonight over the next few hours. We'll just have to do it on the show. Well, I'm supposed to be paying attention here, but like mostly going up against bots, so maybe it wouldn't matter. I don't know. But this is the paladin. I got the control paladin list from SchmoopieDaddy. And it's probably the same list. It feels a little bit strange playing with like non-golden cards because whale noises, but
Boo-hoo.
I
did snag it from Neon's site, and I think it's like 2 cards off of what Labori Sangre made.
It is because I saw it there also. I looked just to see if there were like other options. So the first 2 games I played with it, like, I don't know, like I got high rolled or something and then I haven't lost since. Right. And once you get the play pattern down, like, I don't know, it's good anyways. So I'll keep jamming it. I wish that they would like add like Next Rammus or something to classic, but whatever.
They never announced what they're doing with classic, huh? They're kind of just letting it hang out there for now until further notice.
Oh, it's not like they have a history of like not supporting their game modes or anything. Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry.
Well, you know, I mean, it's still constructed.
Well, it's yeah. All right, well, let's see. Blutrane, let me go to you next, and then I'll cut over to Sheep because I know you've been quite busy and on the wild ladder over here.
Yeah. You know, the fall from 11 to 10 was somewhat expected, but the fall from 10 to 9 stings a little bit. Although when I do finally mark the return, that 9 climb is going to be pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you'll get, like, you know, when you don't play for a while and then you get like paired up like your MMR tanks and you get paired up against like less skilled opponents. I'm trying to be diplomatic. Maybe you will have the benefit of that. Or maybe you'll end up in like 10-star hell like me and play against just every single deck is a Reno Renathal deck and you can't plan around it because you don't know what's in it.
Yeah, that I am not looking forward to.
If
indeed that happens.
If you play Even Shaman or play Pirate Rogue or something like that, you'll be fine.
You can kill them on turn 4 or 5. You don't have to play around anything in their deck.
Right?
Their hands will be a bunch of unplayable cards, and you'll just win.
Well, wait, let me ask you real quick. So I mean, I know you jammed a few games, but you said you were playing Pirate Rogue, right?
Yeah, I basically built a copy of each of the decks that I would probably want to play. So, Hunter, Beast Hunter, Pirate Rogue, and even Shaman.
So the new Pirate Rogue runs Jolly Roger, which I think everyone agrees is a good card, right? The 1/3, and when you attack it poops out a 1/1.
Yeah, it certainly felt good playing it. That much is much is true.
Do they cut cutting class? Yeah.
Yeah. So I couldn't believe it myself. So I asked Corb, like, really, no cutting class? What's going on? And basically the way that he explained it to me was, yes, no cutting class, because basically we've cut Buccaneer for Jolly Roger. Buccaneer was the pirate that gave our weapon +1 attack, and more importantly made Swordfish a 5 attack weapon instead of 4, which then makes cutting class cost 0. So if cutting class costs 1, logic is such that, you know, it's not a card we really want to run. A lot of people were cutting it before.
1 mana too expensive to draw 3 cards.
Well, people were cutting it before, apparently. I don't know, but I kind of see how it all fits together. The deck's a lot more lower to the ground than it was. You don't even run Mr. Smite anymore.
Nah, it's too expensive.
You know,
yeah. So it's running
yeah.
Are you
South Sea.
Putricide pilled? Are you running Mr. Putricide in your list?
Oh.
The
No,
2-drop
the one that I pulled has one not eviscerate, wicked stab. Is that the name of the card?
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
blanking.
Some people are running the new Putricide, and it actually seems all right, because if you've got a board of like little pirates and then you drop the Putricide and you trade them in or whatever, like you get some awesome stuff that just makes it hard for your opponent. It's like draw cards or destroy enemy minions or whatever. And
I only don't like it because why would I incentivize myself to trade? I want to be going face with Pirate Rogue.
yeah. It's interesting. So this is running South Sea Captain, right? The one that buffs all your other pirates. So if you,
Right.
the idea is you go wide, you buff them all. Yeah. All right. Well, I've tried it, and my only thought was I feel very weird about cutting class. Like I totally understand the rationale.
Mhm.
It's just if you start relying on like top decking, it's kind of a bummer. Like, oh, cool, I got a mistake. Then again, I've also played a bunch of games against people that were like turn 1 mistake, parachute brigand patches, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll die then. And
Turn 2 coin South Sea Captain.
yeah.
The one game that I played of it, which makes me the aforementioned expert, was so classic 9-star gaming moment. First game, Big Priest plays the 0 cost spell on 1, thinking, oh crap, here we go. I was Jolly Roger on 1, Cavern Shiny Finder on 2, Swordfish on 3. I had a South Sea Captain in my hand, got another South Sea Captain off of the Swordfish, and he played Hysteria on 3, coined it out, didn't quite clear my board, and managed to just completely wipe him off the face of the earth. Turn 4 with 2 South Sea, turn 5 rather, excuse me, with two South Sea Captains. So to Schmoopie's point, well, play around anything. Just play the
just win.
play the cards and drag them face. It felt pretty powerful. I would imagine that against the other aggro board-based decks, it probably isn't as free. Chisel's probably still a good card. Although Jolly Roger, I imagine, makes Chisel probably good, but not as one-sided as it was. The 1/3 body seems like
that
it's
matchup's
probably
a lot
pain.
tighter.
It's
That matchup's a lot tighter.
I had a decent time into it with even Death Knight.
Yeah.
Did pretty good into Pirate Rogue, but even then it just depends. Sometimes if you get like the killer opening, then it was tricky. But that the 2-mana spell that does 3 damage and makes a 2/2 with rush. It's like crazy. I don't remember what it's called. You know what I'm talking about.
Like Strike, yeah.
Yeah. The good one.
And I haven't played much since they introduced the dual type minions, and noticed that Beast Hunter is now running K9otron because it's a mech beast. And that Beast Hunter is one of my very favorite decks. I mean, I played it a ton before I went on hiatus, and I really like the look of the new build. Just now ran that back on a 9x bronze, the nutty mode. It was actually the mirror, and it seems like it's pretty good. K9otron. We have a lot of 1-costs in the deck, right? We've got Wolpertinger, Alley Cat, Pelican Diver. It seems kind of nutty. We're still running Shadehound, which again, absolutely insane. So yeah, Beast Hunter, probably not as good as the other decks, but seems like it's still got game even with the Harpoon Gun revert. I don't have the Hope of Kel'Thalas. I probably will craft it, so I just threw in an extra Master's Call in the meantime. So I'm probably going to play a little bit of that. I really like the Beast Hunter list, but probably what will end up happening is, I mean, obviously we're not going to hit Legend. There's like a few hours before reset, but maybe next month I'll
not with that attitude.
I don't think I would want to put myself through that. Especially, I'd rather.
Oh no, it's not worth it.
Rather play post reset, but probably will play Beast Hunter, and then probably what'll happen is once I kind of get into that like diamond like 2-3 bottleneck, I'll probably just degenerate to playing the Pirate Rogue or even Shaman to finish it off. But yeah, just even playing a couple games right now, everything felt right. Everything feels familiar. It's like putting on an old pair of broken in shoes that are immediately comfortable. It's nice to be back, and looking forward to the new expansion. I've been watching a lot of the release materials. I know we've talked about it to death on here, but the theme's right up my alley. Were you excited to get Jazz as the theme for Shaman? Like,
especially for Shaman, yeah.
And the cards look cool, like the spell that makes a minion Ragnaros, the
Jive Insect.
Jive Insect, and probably the thing that I'm most looking forward to is the shake up in core. Really happy to see Ancestral Knowledge be included into core with a buff. It overloads for 1 now instead of 2, so it's a 2-mana overload 1, draw 2. Having that in core, I think, is going to be really awesome for standard, because card draw has always been the bane of the class. Of course, in Wild, we have all the card draw we need with Ice Fishing, but of course, when we have the next round of nerfs early next week, when they do the reverts, cough, cough, for Flurgle Tox will be erased. Probably won't. But having Ancestral Knowledge with 1 overload, I think, is a really neat thing. And kind of looking at those overload like mechanics in the new set, that's going to be a really important puzzle piece to making that archetype viable. And that's probably something I'm looking forward to as well. Wild's always been my favorite game mode, but oftentimes when I hit Legend, or maybe I wasn't liking the Wild meta, I dip my toes into Standard and enjoy that. And I didn't enjoy Standard very much this past year. First, it was the Renathal stuff, and then it was the unceremonious murder of all the Renathal stuff that made things even worse. Who would have thought? I'm not even being sarcastic. Like when they killed Theotar and then Renathal, I was like, good. It's like I'll dance on their grave, or like the meme with the. But it actually ended up making things worse, and so just looking forward to the rotation shakeup. I think that a lot of people that have been kind of taking a little bit of time off will probably be curious again. New set's looking good. Rotation obviously is always nice. So yeah, it's just that time of year. It's just like where we all kind of come home to roost.
Nice. Well, I want to move over to Sheep, who
gotta get rid of that 9. Take it off the screen, Nate.
All right, well, here, boom. All right, let's talk about. So you hit Wild Legend like day 1 or day 2 or something, like super early, right?
Yeah, it was in the first week. It wasn't quite like day 1 or 2, but yeah, it was pretty early. So hit Wild Legend super early, and then kind of drug my feet on Standard Legend, but hit that pretty early in the week this past week. My sister was coming in town with her husband and kiddo, so I was like, cool. I'll cross that off my list so that I can finally have achieved that thing. So I did that, and then I think I'm gonna kind of ping pong a little bit with SchmoopieDaddy here because I saw that he kind of like hit a milestone that I hadn't before and kind of inspired me. So SchmoopieDaddy has the next kind of like sequential thing in the list here.
Sure. So while like Sheep was hitting Standard Legend, I think if you guys remember from the last time I was on the show, I guess last Friday. Wow, it's been a week. I was talking about how like nothing really happened in my Hearthstone week. I've just been playing Cthulhu decks all week. I decided to undumpster, and so I started from about D10 MMR, which was like rank 3,404, and I jammed Even Shaman. And I played my typical Even Shaman list that I like with a bunch of burn in it, but I took out one copy of Wind Fury for ETC. In the ETC, I couldn't settle on 3 cards, but I kind of figured out 2. I knew I wanted to try Brucon, I knew I wanted to try Lotheb, and then I settled on Instructor Fireheart, but I've yet to play her.
How was
I
Brucon?
was like, all right,
that
so let
sounds
me-
kind of fun.
Brucon is very good for when you are in a situation where you realize, okay, a totem a turn is not going to get me there. So let's swap to Brucon. And Brucon wins games. Brucon and Lotheb, I think, are rock solid. If you're going to play ETC and Even Shaman, you shouldn't do it. But if you want to do it for fun, those two felt like really solid choices where I kind of struggled where it was like, what's my immediate impact card? And I tried Primal Fusion, which is a card that reads 1 mana, give a minion +1/+1 for each totem you control. And so like you can make some really nasty like taunt totems out of nowhere, but it just felt kind of meh, like very mid. So I was like, all right, well, why don't I try like that? Doc BUMD actually suggested like, why don't you try Instructor Fireheart? That's who I have in mind. Anyway, I basically like had a run for a couple days. At one point, woke up on like Sunday morning and was just like, oh, hello, Shmoopie Mommy. We're of a similar rank. I'm at 1,250. You're at like 1,255. We're virtually the same rank. We're probably going to play some mirrors. We did not play any mirrors because I had a nutty 14-in-1 run. I ended up parking myself at 321 with a record of 89 and 35 over the course of a couple days. So that should be good enough for 11x. We'll see. And then I was like, all right, I'm bored here. I've played my favorite mode, and I'm probably done playing it unless I'm going to play it in casual. Let's queue up some classic. Let's see how bad my MMR is, and let's smash some bots. And I remembered Labore's Control Paladin deck, and I was just like, that looked like a lot of fun. And that looks like something that's good into Zoo and something that's good into just sort of like smashing jank. So I found this version on Neon's website, which was like a little twist. Changed 2 cards from his list, but for the most part has his heart and soul in it. And he's a genius, so I played it. My boss fight felt like it was silver 1 and 3 stars.
Did you say bot fight?
No, my boss fight. Like I didn't see a human.
I know. Your final bot.
I didn't see a human. Yeah, I didn't see a human between like gold 10 and like diamond 8.
Jeez.
Maybe 1 in platinum. I went on a 53 game win streak. up to my first boss fight.
That is more than 2.
And lost my first boss fight, which is a little jarring. They were humans though, so like that was okay. But eventually got there, and I hit Classic Legend, and I was just like, oh, this is a thing that I've never done before. Which I think I'm then gonna pass it over to Sheep. Sheep saw me hit Classic Legend.
And I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Like, I really enjoyed Classic. And, so Schmoopie was talking about Classic and how, it's like bot farming for a while. And, I just hit Standard Legend. So I was like, okay, I'll try out Classic. So I also played a Labori deck, but mine was a little different. So I played it's not really face hunter. It's kind of like more of a mid-range hunter-ish. And the like play pattern against bots is super weird, right? So whenever I'm playing against a bot, it's like, hey, I'm gonna just like throw down a starving buzzard on 2, because though they have a 1/1, like they're not gonna trade it because they just see a 2/1. They don't see that as like a threat.
Yeah.
And so then I can just, play an animal companion or a jungle panther or unleash the hounds, because they play a lot of like river crocolisks and stuff like that. Draw a ton and just kind of control their board. They also play around explosive trap really poorly. So like I play explosive trap. They have, like a board full of like low health minions. They will proceed to play more minions and then attack into your face. So like their entire turn 5 is gone. It's great. Like the play pattern against bots is not at all what I would recommend against humans. It's actively playing worse, but it's better against them. Just really interesting in my opinion. So I played a few more humans, and it sounds like Schmoopie did throughout my climb. Not, substantially higher number of humans, but I also
Played a few.
Classic Legend.
Congrats! Oh, that's really cool. I'm jealous I didn't get to do it. By the time I got the bug, it was like it's too late. I can't believe that tomorrow's going to be the 1st of April. Like, what? This month just went by like so fast.
April Fool's. Wait, sorry, that's not how that works.
Oh, my son has been like plotting for like a week. I'm so nervous.
Oh no!
Like I know.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna be like bald on next week's show or something. Like I'm dreading it.
This is the way. But yeah, so that was my first ever like triple legend, first ever classic legend. Like feels good.
Nice. Congrats to both of you. Triple legends. Wow.
That's a
And
big
then
achievement.
I got a bug. And then I got a bug because I wasn't in Legend and Standard yet.
I
So I was like, okay,
better do it. So
what do I have to play in the next couple days? So I ended up playing. I tried to play like Frost DK, and it felt okay, but it didn't feel efficient. And then I found Aggro Shadow Priest, and that deck is rude. That deck is like really, really rude. Like stealing things with Najak and then silencing the Najak, and it's just like, okay, your tempo is mine. The amount of burst you can do from hand, the thick minions you make, like the fact that you're like pushing face, and then it gets to a point where they finally stabilize, and they're on like 3 health, and you're at like 28 because they've been sending all their resources into your board. Like it's just a rude deck. And I know I probably like it's the end of the month standard. I probably wasn't playing against the highest caliber of player I could. That being said, it like you could just feel the power level of the deck, and it's why we now model the wild version off of this. That the correct I think Shadow Priest version is built the way the standard version is, and we can talk about that later when we look at the Tempo Storm report. But the one thing I just want to add about a funny story about playing against classic bots. I'm convinced that they all have some sort of similar originator. Either somebody has written the same code, or there's some collective or something like that programming these things in a similar way for some benefit that I can't see. I was really torn as to whether or not I was supposed to report all these guys because they're actively making my experience better. The reason why I haven't hit Classic Legend in the past is because the queue times are absurd, especially late in the month.
Yeah.
And here my queue times were basically instantaneous. I was finding a match, no problem. The problem was I wasn't playing against humans. But one time I did find a human, and I wasn't sure, and I was just like, let me emote them and see if they emote back. So I emoted greetings, and they emoted greetings back. And then they proceeded to emote spam the entire time we played.
Oh no.
So here I was, like, adrift at sea, and I was like, finally, humanity. And it was
That's
like,
incredible.
control, man. I beat them mercilessly because they just were not. They were running a deck on caliber with the bots. They were playing it better than a bot deck, but like they'd clearly gotten really far with a limited collection with a bad list. And like meanwhile, I'm playing against bots, and they don't play around Doomsayer.
No.
Like the first time I played like a game in Legend against a Zulok, and the Zulok killed my Doomsayer that I tempoed on 2, and I was like, wait, what? Wait, what?
They saw my 0-7
You're not allowed
as a
to do
threat?
that?
What?
Wait, you're not allowed to buff your. How did you do that? And the funniest thing is they concede to Ragnaros swinging face. Rag can't swing face, anyway. He could launch it, but like I had a couple bots concede to like 1 and 7s for lethal, and they were definitely showing lethal, and they just conceded because like, oh nope, it's we're passing our turn, and an 8/8's on the board, we died. So like they can't read. So like there are some really easy wins in there. I don't think I won 53 games in a row because I'm supremely talented and I'm so good at Hearthstone.
And handsome
I can
too.
fog a mirror. I can fog a mirror. That's why I ended up winning. But it was quite an experience. It was quite an experience.
I really love whenever bots would like Shattered Sun Cleric to buff up a 1 health something into my explosive trap when they could have buffed up a 2 health something.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. No.
I felt like playing the Innkeeper.
And not the expert.
That is an
Innkeeper.
insult to the Innkeeper. Okay. Death Knight on expert in certain game loops can kill you on 4.
Yeah. Well.
That's what I practice in. That's what I practice Born to be a listener series decks into first. I play into that, and Ataraxial, who is a fantastic player, probably somebody that a lot of people at home haven't heard of, but we're talking about, you know, one of the great players that Wild has that does a lot of original homebrew. He practices against the Innkeeper a lot. He also practices against Warrior on expert because it does a fairly decent job of curving out a decent amount of greed while having some removal. So it does a good job of sort of mimicking that play pattern too. So those are the 2 I would do at home. Try those out before you sham the Innkeeper, discredit his name. He's beaten me before, and he'll beat me again. All right.
These bots just are worse. Normal Innkeeper, though. Explicitly just the normal Innkeeper,
the normal Innkeeper's a joke. Yeah.
And these bots are totally worse than the normal Innkeeper, in my opinion.
They're worse than the wild bots. They're worse than the competitive wild bots.
Oh,
they're definitely different because they concede at different spots. These are conceding before they pass turn, whereas the wild bots are conceding immediately after they pass turn, which humans also do, to be fair. But like, you know, you can tell the difference in play pattern. Maybe
it's really consistent too. Yeah, it's really consistent too. Like in Wild, they, like you said, very consistently in turn, then concede, whereas in Classic, they very consistently play it out, see that they still have, you know, lethal presented against them, and then they concede before they end turn. It is really interesting. Like you said, maybe a bot collective or, you know, a similar originator, coder, whatnot, just for Classic that, you know, then the code was either built upon or distributed, and then a different one for Wild, which then the code was probably either built upon or distributed from there, but different originators between Wild and Classic, I would imagine.
And they're very different than Blizzbots. Blizzbots play so quick because I think they're hooked directly into the system that it's like their moves are instantaneous. Like it's almost like they're animation hacking.
It's the Matrix.
It's like you end your turn and they're immediately doing their thing, which is normally a red flag to me if I'm playing against a human. Like that's usually me saying, okay, they must be animation hacking. But Blizzbots never concede, no matter what. So like, there's also
TIL.
That.
Huh. Well, there you go.
I'm pretty sure they don't concede. I'm pretty sure they make you hit them, and they don't show up on your friends list. And you can't see their rank, even if you're in Legend. I'm a connoisseur of bots. I'm a botosaur.
We're nice. All right. Well, we do have a little bit of news. I suppose we should talk about that.
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
Oh, Hydra's always with us
He is.
when he's not.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we got officially the release date for the next Hearthstone expansion. We'll be launching on April the 11th to the surprise of nobody.
Validation.
Validation, no breathing. Sorry. That's a Papa Roach reference for you youngsters. Anyways, April 11th is a Tuesday. It's a week from this coming Tuesday. So, yeah, that's happening. Don't really have much else to say about it. There have been events going on like all week that I have not been able to watch because I've been at work. So we had some like Twitch drops that I missed out on. I'm over here angry that I missed my one free pack and I'm sitting on like 300 plus packs and it's like,
Nate.
I want my one free pack.
I hate to break it to you. You
But I
missed
missed-
out on 2 free packs.
All right. You know what I have to say about that?
Makes twice as much.
I'm angry.
Yeah, so the final reveal stream had some Twitch drops. You only had to watch for 30 minutes. My sister and her husband were over, so I had it up on my phone. Didn't actually get to watch, which is a-okay because I've since looked at all of the cards anyway. There's one in particular that I'm excited for Blue to see because Murlocs, and it's a 1-drop Murloc, and it like, it's gonna be pretty cool. Good, I don't know, but like it fits the archetype that you really like, which is awesome. So all of the cards have been announced and revealed, and
Wait, did they do the music thing yet?
So I looked to find earlier. I can't recall where. I want to say it was Play Hearthstone on Twitter announced that they were going to have like different musical like stuff on Twitch for like the different.
You like vote on a genre. They'd like compete head to head.
Yeah.
It'd be like a bracket.
And I can't find that tweet anymore. So I think that they may have deleted it because I looked for it. I could not find it again. So what they have been doing instead, which is still pretty cool, is tweets will kind of come out with kind of like samplings of different musical genres, kind of like those infomercials from like the late 80s to mid 90s, where it'd be like, oh, there's this album that's coming out, and if you call now and spend like 5 easy payments of $29.99, then you can get this album that's like the best of Kenny G. Kenny G is great. I have nothing against Kenny G. That's just the first artist that came to mind there.
Yeah, he's mid.
Fair. I don't feel very strongly either way.
Energy Christmas is a classic.
We
In my opinion.
stopped talking about classic though.
Wow.
Good
Talk about
point.
classic. They've got a
Continue,
tweet up there that
continue.
says, now that's what I call Hearthstone 26. Like the,
Yeah. And,
oh my God.
and they've got like whole like, oh, there's this song and this song, and they kind of like play different little bits of like the genre from the different ones. And so I think they're doing it via tweet and via like, here's like the rock one, and it's this one, and here's the tweet and the kind of like infomercial style announcement for that one instead, which is good in the way that we can keep on referring back to it, but bad in the way that I thought it was going to be like another event.
Remember
And
when
and
they
it kinda
did-
hasn't been.
Yeah, when they did Sunken City, they did the whole like crab rave thing, and like it was an actual like music event.
Good.
That's what I thought was happening, and
And last weekend they did have like a mini little like festival, but it was like for like electronica artists.
okay.
And it was pretty good, but it sounded like there was going to be more than just that would kind of expand to more genres, which is what I was really looking forward to and did not come to fruition.
Oh, I could play the ETC one. This is the one that you sent me, right?
Yeah.
Let me hit play real quick.
Imagine owning Azeroth's most legendary songs by legendary performers. Hearthstone presents the Festival of Legends. 145 beautiful cards for all your favorite hero classes. Experience legendary songs like Climactic Necrotic Explosion, Love Everlasting, Starlight Groove, Rhythm and Roots, Jive Insect, Stranglethorn Heart, and Symphony of Sins. This collection won't be around forever, unless you play Wild. Call and order yours today. Imagine owning Azeroth's most legendary.
Unless you play Wild.
That sounds slightly derisive to you.
Yeah,
It sounds slightly derisive. It's like ever so slightly.
on the nose.
Whenever I saw that, that's when I had to send it to you for inclusion.
Oh god, that's so funny. I hope that they
Easy
play.
sample.
I hope-
Unless you play Wild.
I hope they play the music like when you drop the card and and it starts playing like the song. That would be so great. That'd be so great.
I think
Wow.
Excitement abounds. I can't wait to see.
Do they? Do you know what happened? Like when you play the song, does it play music? Has anyone seen the reveal streams?
I play on mute. I have no idea.
Yeah, same. But
Oh, we're gonna find
The-
out then.
theory crafting is happening on April 6th and 7th. And while
Wouldn't know
Wild
about
is
that
not
since
included.
since we weren't invited.
No one from Wild.
No
was.
one from Wild.
I know,
Did
I
any-
know.
Did anyone from Wild get bundles to give away? It doesn't seem so. I didn't even see Raffle announce any. Now that's not to say that they didn't, and he hasn't said anything
Or
yet.
won't.
We have not yet. That doesn't necessarily mean it won't happen, but
Sure.
I don't know. It might not. I don't know. I've been so busy with like life stuff that I haven't, and I don't want to ask, like in the past, like we've
No.
just got them and it's super cool.
They tied it to the creators program now, but still there are people in Wild who are part of the creators program, and I haven't heard anything yet. Although, in fairness, they tend to they've given seems like a batch already, but yeah, they sometimes.
Well,
Could be coming in waves. Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably typically does, and I think that they want to. So the live streams are coming up soon, and by the way, I'm making these like. Well, we did it good. Like I'm being facetious, okay? Like I have no ill feelings towards these guys at all. Like they've been very gracious to us in the past, and I'm just being saucy because I'm exhausted from working a lot and not sleeping. They've been very generous to us.
Saucy Mailman was playing Wild again.
Oh, I hope so.
I don't think he is.
So, but
He just said saucy.
He is playing Snap.
Oh, there we go. Oh, snap. If we get something cool, and if we don't, then that's okay. Frankly, like our numbers are typically so low that like I'm surprised that we've got them the last several times. And but
What a blast!
It's always been super fun to participate, and I wasn't going to be able to this time anyways because of work stuff, and so I don't feel like all that sour about it, to be honest. But we'll see. It's always fun to give away stuff. So if we get them, cool, we'll let you guys know, and if we don't, we don't, and we will see what happens. I do think what they do though is with the live stream coming up, like they'll give away some bundles to people early to like promote your live stream, promote the theory crafting stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they do some more like later. At least that's what I've seen in the past. So we'll see.
Yeah. We'll
see. And either way is cool. Let's see what else is coming up. So the live stream
is April 6th and 7th at 10 a.m. Pacific. And those are the theory crafting streams. And that is where we very well may see some of those hit single cards being played. So we'll see if they play the songs as well.
Oh gosh,
which is kind of what you were asking. I imagine they will. So I'm hoping
I'd be shocked if
we
they
get to
didn't.
see it. Yeah, right.
What'll be really funny though is if they play like they got to play like 15 seconds of the song. Like 30 is too much, but like 15 seconds, enough where you're like, oh, stop already, right? And all the people that play on mute will just never know.
I'll watch streams and figure it out eventually, but like, yeah, I won't have the same PTSD when you start hearing like there's gonna be a song
explosion go off, and you're like, why?
No, there's gonna be like I guarantee you. For me, it's animations. Like there are animations that are tilting immediately. Then I'm like, oh no.
The animations for these look really good, actually. They're like.
They do, which is why I'd be shocked if if they went that far with the animations. Like the Hunter spell is beautiful.
Oh yeah,
it's like for those listening on radio, it's like a sunset, and from the sunset, your beasts that died spawn.
It's very like Lion King. It's
really cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool. And so like I would be shocked if they didn't take the time to actually. Try to make them as special as possible.
Yeah, so check it out. So the two live stream, the Theorycraft live streams, April 5th at 10 a.m. Through April 6th at 9 a.m. What? That's what it says. I don't know if that's.
Oh, so what I was looking at was the Festival of Legends live.
And then it says that there's another live stream that focuses on music performance from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on April 6th and April 7th. So there you go. Watch any of these to earn one Festival of Legends pack. You will only be able to earn one once for this drop, is what it says. And then pre-release weekend, April 7th through April 10th, if you want to do like a fireside gathering and open your packs early. Cool. Well, if anyone finds out if the cards play the music, you got to let us know. That's my request.
Yes.
Need to know.
You need to know.
Yes, inquiring minds.
Is it worth slipping in? We're theorizing that since we're going to get the big patch that kind of like loads the cards for the next set on Tuesday, probably. That's probably when we'll get reverts, which is like Wild Christmas.
Oh gosh, yeah. Next week's episode is going to be crazy because that's what we'll be talking about. I'm sure is that whatever reverts.
Like the reverts are going to be pretty and we'll get the reverts early. We'll probably get them Tuesday. The meta's going to kind of, depending on how impactful they are, the meta could look very different on Tuesday Tuesday afternoon than it did on Tuesday morning.
You know what that means?
It's kind of exciting.
That means hurry up and hit Legend this weekend.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Or don't. But yeah. Well, here's some wild news. I think that this is, I mean, it's Hearthstone news, but this is really impacts us in Wild, I think. Mm-hmm. And this snuck through. I just found this out like right before the show started. So coming in this new patch, right on Tuesday, patch 26.0, Hero Immune is changing. Hearthstone says health cost will actually cost health. In a landmark change of philosophy, Blizzard announced tonight that cards that make your hero immune will no longer prevent health loss from cards that cost health instead of mana. Read the full tweet as well as some further answers below. And then there's a link. I should probably pull it up here so that I could read it to you guys. Okay, here it is. So this is a quote from Blizzard. In 26.0, we are changing how Hero Immune works with cards that cost health instead of mana. Your hero's health will still be spent when playing a health cost card, even if your hero has Immune or Divine Shield with that new mechanic, right? This also no longer counts as, quote, taking damage for other effects. Demon Seed, cough, Demon Seed.
Maybe Molten Giant. Like, this is what I'm talking about, where this is like a little bit not...
Maybe Flesh Giant, maybe Stealer of Souls.
Maybe Flesh Giant. Like, this is where it's like a little unclear. We're going to have to practice and stress test and see what works and what doesn't.
This is very interesting. Does this mean Life Tap will still deal damage with Void Virtuoso? No, Life Tap does not cost health instead of mana. It's dealing damage to your hero through card text. Does this mean that you could die while immune? Just want to make sure I understand, i.e. if I played Imp and did 3 to myself, I'd take 3 and die even if I was immune. It says, if you're talking about Flame Imp or Baritone Imp, those are unrelated. This is only for cards who have a health cost instead of a mana cost, and you still won't be allowed to play a card if you don't have enough health for it, like how you can't play a card you don't have enough mana for. So even if you're immune, like, right, you've got Mal'Ganis up, you can't, like, so what it sounds like, you can still life tap and take no damage, but you can't play a card that costs health to play.
You know when cards have a little like blood drop instead of the mana crystal?
Yep.
That basically sounds like it's the only situation.
Pretty much, yeah. Because if it says this costs health instead of mana, then it will still cost.
It'll still cost the health.
Cost.
Yeah.
Whereas if it says deal damage to your hero, that won't if you're immune, because it's not saying it costs health. It's saying it deals damage.
This part is interesting, right? They said, I assume this will be the same for Anubricon. And they said, yep, similar logic should be applied to armor instead of mana. So for those druid players who are doing all the armor stuff, same type of deal. If you're playing cards that cost health or cost armor and you don't have it, like, or whatever, it's the same thing applies. And then the question I had, right, because Sheep and I both just finished the Battlegrounds battle pass, and I had fun last week with, like, I'd get immune, and then I kept buying the minions that cost health for 0. So the last question is, did these changes apply to the Battlegrounds game mode? And they said, LOL, no. It said, clarification, this change should not apply to BGs. So there you go. Oh, man.
This is really clearly targeting one specific interaction, right? This is targeting Plot Twist and Stealer of Souls, and it's worth noting that it's been a while since we saw Stealer of Soul lock, but there was an APM cheating component to that deck where the animations off a Plot Twist took forever to resolve from mana to blood, and so typically if you saw somebody hit high legend or a high rank with that deck, there was a very high percentage chance that they were in fact animation cheating. And since they've tried their best they can't police it. It's something that you do on your side of the client, that where you manipulate it and it's almost impossible to catch on an individual basis. This just stops it from being relevant because the deck doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Well, and do we think this was being done in anticipation of the Demon Seed, like, revert coming next week?
I think more Stealer of Souls and the fact that they printed a 1-mana Violet Illusionist.
Yeah.
I think this is honestly probably a fix, mostly because they made it even easier in Standard, and they said, you know what, we're not really sure what we're going to do with this card. Let's just change this mechanic, which is ironic because at the time, I remember when Stealer of Souls was doing its thing, this is a change that people proposed back then, right? I mean, Blue, I think you were pretty hooked in back then too. Do you remember?
Yeah. Are you referring to the animation cheating portion or just the whole?
No, I mean changing how immune works. Like, I remember people talking about how, like, well, maybe immune shouldn't allow this.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's always been a bit of a sticking point, but I think it was more targeted towards the interaction. I am curious. I wonder if this is, yes, it's probably to target this interaction. It probably is future-proofing as well. To your point, Nate, and we talked about this before, the show went live. For some reason, just because I'm getting old and my memory is fading and wires are getting crossed, I wondered if this was also going to allow them to bring a Demon Seed back, but Demon Seed this won't change that interaction. So it'll be really interesting to see what they're planning on doing with that. As you were talking, Shmoopie, I just, like, a dim bulb just went off in my head. I'm 9X, and there is a not so remote chance, although I think it's pretty remote, that they're going to fully unnerf raid the docks.
Oh, that would be like Christmas. That would be like
Christmas, yes.
That would be my dream. I could actually play Warrior again.
I have Christmas Magni ready to go. They're not gonna. I really don't think they're gonna do it because I think people will lose their minds. But who knows? Like, what are they gonna do with the Demon Seed? Right? It was so oppressive. Like, have things gone so far that they just gonna pull like a Calvas and drop it on us unnerfed?
I really hope not. I really hope not. People keep trying to assure me that it'd be a bad deck now.
I think even if they took it back to
I'm
halfway,
not so convinced.
Like, they nerfed it twice. Even if they just took back one of the nerfs, I would do it. I would play it.
You're talking
Seed
about the
or
Warrior Crest, Nate. I'm talking about Demon Seed. I hope
Yeah.
that they
Oh,
Demon Seed.
that
thing
no,
raid-
no.
I'm jumping around. My mind's
Raid
kind
the
of
docks.
racing here.
I'm kind of with you guys. And
A
for
bunch of
full
old people
disclosure,
here.
I
You
used
can't.
to
I can't keep
I
anything
used to
straight.
net
So.
deck.
So Schmoopie asks me a
I used
question
to-
about immunity. I go to raid the docks, and now I'm talking about Demon Seed. I am really debasing the quality of this show.
Yeah, the show's gonna be called Grumpy Old Men. I don't.
No, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Blutrane. I used to net deck you when it came to Pirate Warrior. I literally like when it became clear that Scimitar Rogue was not going to work. I got the code from your stream and gave it to Schmoopie Mommy and said, "All right, Schmoopie Mommy, here's the latest technology. Go with it and run." And then she,
Technology.
as everybody has everybody here lost to her yet? I don't know if Blue
Yes.
I
Train's
don't
seen
think
her
we've
yet.
ever played.
Oh, I have.
I don't think I've ever encountered.
I have.
She's scary. Yeah.
I think
Has
we're
she lost
even
to Schmoopie
now.
Mommy yet?
I think
You're
we're
even now.
I think we are.
That's
I think
good.
we're 1-1.
You know, it's just interesting how everyone has such different, I don't want to say approaches, but just they truly find the joy in different parts of the game. Like my friend
Yeah.
HL Nug has devolved into being this control gamer who I barely recognize anymore. And here I am, we're talking, I'm like, raid the docks, bring it back. And he's like, I never want to encounter you on ladder because people will admonish it as being this like low skill ceiling deck that plays itself. Yeah. If I got to sit there and grind Hearthstone for 8 hours, sometimes I want to do it. I remember this was probably a couple of years ago now. When the deck was meta. I tilted. I know me tilting. I tilted down to like 2,500 on EU. I remember sitting there with Memnarch and NHL, and we just were like, queue up Pirate Warrior, and we're gonna end tonight at 100. This ends it. We just sat there and like just game after game after game, and it's a real good grinder deck. It just, I don't know, just feels right. I want it back. I know it's not a popular opinion, but
too. Well, it's a very beatable deck too. Like
Yeah.
if you're
Mhm.
if you approach it the right way. Now, like if you're trying to play fun on ladder, and like it can be a greed killer, but like
I don't know, man. Every time I see
it's
like
very scammable.
I just keep
Even if
thinking
they unnerf it.
that quote from The Office: "You, sir, are a thief of joy." And every time I queue into a druid or a shaman, that's all I think about.
So if they were to completely unnerf the Demon Seed, that would definitely be a thief of joy.
No, they can't do that. They can't. They. I don't
They
know.
might.
They could, but
They reverted Kael'thas.
Yeah,
they
that
did,
was
they
They're
did that.
capable of anything.
Not
They
for
reverted
long.
Kael'thas.
No,
Not for long.
that was mistakes were made. Yeah, I don't know. If they do that, then it's like, okay, fine. Then you better unnerf the hunter quest and and the pirate quest and whatever
No, it
else.
doesn't.
Well, they
That can
would
die
need to
too.
nerf rapid fire for that to ever come
Please
back.
don't do any of that. Stop. Don't. I find
So-
the Hunter Quest is shockingly playable right now, by the way.
In
Very
Wild?
quietly.
Ugh.
Yes.
So
Ooh.
there's
I have
a
list
joke.
from OTZ that it feels shockingly playable despite it being in the state that it's in.
There's a
Mm,
joke that I'm an odd hunter main, and it was my favorite deck. It was my favorite deck, but you have to remember that it was one of the few decks that actually could beat the Demon Seed
Mhm.
and Pirate Warrior. Like it kind of had a good match lineup, and it was more a love out of necessity than a true joy of the deck. I always thought that it was very anti Hearthstone, that deck. Kind of toxic, frankly. I do not want to see that come back, and I don't think it will to the extent that it did without rapid fire,
Yeah.
because the odd hero power is what really made it very strong. But I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, even a part of me next week is hopeful that maybe they'll maybe they'll go further back than just this rotation and revert some other cards that they neglected to do last time around, like my boy Gibberling.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I'd like to see that. I don't hold out much hope. I think there's a better chance of them fully unnerfing Raid the Docks than Gibberling. I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get. But I am quite anxious to see what they're gonna do. This is the first time ban cards are coming back.
Mhm.
Well, I guess technically test subjects was, but that was a very different circumstance.
Yeah. That was just putting it into quarantine while they worked on a fix to keep it from breaking the format. So, well, like you said, different scenario.
So yeah, watching that very closely, Demon Seed, and a lot of cards were nerfed last year. I mean, another revert that I would be looking for is Conviction,
Mm-hmm.
right? 1 mana, deal 9.
Trog.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do that one.
Trog, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trog is giga toxic. I don't think they're gonna do Trog either.
I don't think they will either, but I can hope.
But you're looking for it.
A sheep can hope.
I just want my Raid the Docks.
I know,
still-
A
me
lot
too,
of
me
people are
too.
excited for.
I still have it in gold. I never got rid of it.
I know, I still have it too.
Garrote and Octobot is another one that is interesting, and also some like things at the fringes, like the Scab's Hero used to cost 7.
No, there's no reason
Right.
to leave that.
Magister Varden, the mage hero, the hero
Yeah.
power is very different than it was. +2 honorable kill. Maybe they restore that. There's some like kind of things at the edges that really I think make it interesting to the point where it's like, okay, this doesn't like outwardly, this doesn't clearly make this a strong deck or like a tier 1 contender, but like at the edges, at the fringes, does such and such deck get better? Yes. Does that change how things play out? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's going to be a very funny week, especially in standard, because this revert week kind of sends standard into kind of a tizzy.
Oh yeah,
It becomes sort of a toxic
they always
mess.
do that. They always
Yeah.
ugh, I can't
It's
imagine
great.
that's very
It's-
popular.
It's kind of fun. Well, I mean, I think it's
It's
popular
entertaining.
For, like,
For who?
wild,
For
yeah, it's
you?
definitely entertaining for like wild players. I know I always see like standard streamer, like big standard streamers,
they
like
just-
Luna and stuff are always like, all right, I'm gonna uninstall for a week. I'll see you guys at the next expansion. But like for a wild player like me, I always have a lot of fun with it because
they just mauled it so funny.
Actually, you saying that gives me hope that they will unnerf Raid the Docks.
Yeah.
As long as
Because
they don't
that-
touch Guff, can you just don't touch Guff, please?
Because that was a thing. Oh, they're
Read it
gonna
one more
they're gonna
time?
revert Guff 100%. Like that's
No way.
yeah.
think
That's,
so?
I think they will. They
Oh.
have. I think they're gonna unnerf Kazakhstan. They're gonna unnerf. Guff,
I think they're gonna unnerf
Kaz, I
Kazakhstan.
hope. Kaz, I hope they do. Kaz, I hope they do.
Yeah,
Kaz is
they'll
a
unnerf all the Druid cards. I think.
Snowfall
Kaz is
Guardian.
going to be a no.
I don't think they're
that.
unnerving
I don't think
Snowfall
so. Especially since Shutterwalk Shaman is kind of a bit of a tyrant, and is a problem in the eyes of many. Snowfall, they kind of nerfed that. Well, they nerfed it for standard, but it felt like it was the implications for it were a little bit more broad. I think that's something that doesn't get reverted. But but the thing is that anytime I say they couldn't possibly unnerf that, someone always crosses their arms and say, "Well, Blue, I've got one word for you, Kelfast," and it's like, okay, point taken.
That was a
Anything can
great SchmoopieDaddy impression.
I try. But yeah, I'm hopeful that they'll revert Raid the Docks because that was such a controversial standard thing. It would almost be like they would do it not even to like, troll people in Wild, but just to troll people in Standard for a week. Maybe it happens. I really want this. I didn't realize how
It was a
badly I
bad
wanted this.
deck in Standard. Like it was exclusively just
Actively
like a
bad.
jank farmer. I remember.
I almost
VS
hit legend
said
with it.
something like-
Are you joking? Like
Well, I hit legend with it several times.
Yeah.
I prayed to boat many times in standard. You just pray to boat, and like sometimes you run like press store to get like dragons after you made boat.
That's why they bring it back, so that everyone can be talking about it. It's engagement, right? It's like, what do they say? Like, there's no bad, like they want you to feel something, good, bad, or in between. Like that's Pirate Warrior in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Other
you're-
potential reverts. Perpetual Flame, I think, is almost a given. From 2 mana down to 1.
Ew.
Command the Elements, which is the Shaman questline. I think that has some potential for a revert.
I hope that stays dead.
I didn't even. That got
that's
nerfed.
toxic. Yes, several times. I think at least twice, right, or once.
I want to once or twice. I can't recall. What was nerfed twice, and I hope does not get a revert. Ruined Mithril Rod.
Oh no! Yeah, let it
It started off at 3 mana, then it went to 4, then it was still too good, and it went to 5, and we still play it sometimes. So keep it at 5.
That probably means it stays at 5, probably just
Honestly,
because it sees play.
Nudge it up to 6 for the rotation.
No. I'd be okay with. I think I'd be okay with 4 Rod. I think I would.
It's playing with fire.
What are you really? What do you? I mean, I guess it's not very future proofing to put it 4 Rod, but like I think 4 Rod would be spicy.
I don't know.
I hear a lot of excitement for Garrote and Octobot too.
Yes,
are the other 2 that are in there as like things that people are just like huffing copium. That surely they revert Octobot. They reversed its stats and it's a 2-drop in the new set. So like surely there's symmetry here, and it's a 2-drop when they send it back to Wild. Because that was a very skill testing and fun deck in standard, and I think people want to try and relive that in Wild as a skill testing fun deck. So we haven't really have we had that one of those in Wild since Darkglare?
What, a skill testing deck?
A skill testing with like one of those decks that really rewarded skill at the top, yeah, like that, like one of those really like that you have almost unanimous agreement that like the better player or the more skilled matchup really kind of figured things out.
I don't know. I think I still think that the like Shark Shaman or Shark the Pillager Rogue I think was like not that easy.
Okay.
I think skilled players make it look easy, and like I could blunder my way through it. I'd be sitting here counting on my fingers like how much damage had I gotten and trying to do mental math real quick.
You can be proficient with that deck though, and still perform at a fairly high level. It's the really exceptional people like Maxi and Roller B and other people that you were finding lethals turn 4, turn 3. The average player wasn't normally finding. Right?
Yeah,
like that's where it was a little different. I should say more consistently 5.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. I mean, we'll get I guess we'll find out like soon. I imagine that we'll probably devote next week to talking about all the new stuff and what broke or didn't.
I just want to play Kazakhstan. Unnerfed Kazakhstan.
I just want to play Raid the Docks. So yeah, it'll be interesting. We don't really have any other news. We're like in the waiting room right now. I did bring the Tempo Storm Wild Meta Snapshot because it just came out a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So I just have tier 1 and tier 2 listed here. I can post the link in chat and it's in our show notes if anyone wants to check out the whole thing. But like, these are the decks that are worth playing anyways. So tier 1, they have listed Shutterwalk Shaman, Even Shaman, and Pirate Rogue. And tier 2, they have Even Unholy Death Knight, Aggro Priest, Reno Priest, Beast Hunter, Combo Priest, Cthulhu Druid, and Mine Rogue. So there you have it. The Shutterwalk Shaman feels super gross because it's the Murloc build, and all you got to do, running 2 ice fishings now, and then all the Murlocs draw your other Murlocs, and then you clear the board, and then you
Scargill makes them all cost 1 when you do it, and yeah.
Oh yeah, and then
Scarbill plus Clownfish makes them cost 0 for the next 2, and yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. And then they can play Mutinous for 1 or 0, and then they play the Parrot to like eat another card, and it's just like, oh my god. Astalor, if I see another Astalor, it'll be too soon. That card has given me like traumatic brain injury, and every time I see it, I just want to like rage. Yeah, having them play like infinite Astalors is so awful. Because it's a battle cry, right? You get more Astalors, and then you get more armor, and then you get more damage, and then Shutterwalk does it all over again. It's like you play the Shutterwalk, and they're not even playing Zola anymore to bounce it, because like you don't even need it. You get like infinite freaking Astalors.
Another one.
Yeah. Oh, it was. Can you tell I'm like traumatized from my ladder climb experience?
I have actually like lost to some of the most giga trash lists running Corrupt the Waters.
Oh man, I've seen it
because
so
Corrupt
much.
the Waters plus Astalor is so nasty, and I don't think it's correct, but it's like just good enough that it's just so brutal. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Oh wow, you played Sticky Fingers into Skulking Geist, but you have Corrupt the Waters and you have Astalor, and I died. And it's just, it feels so bad.
I've run into...
It feels so bad to lose to that crap.
You didn't lose to a deck, you lost to 2 cards.
That's true.
I lost to 2 cards. Interaction between 2 cards. Which sounds like a Schmoopie deck, so like that's...
We're here for it, but...
Should have played around it. Yeah, no, it's terrible. And I laughed. Like I saw so much of it on my climb as well. Like I saw these Shutterwalk Shamans, but half of them running the quest, and I was like, you got to be joking me. Like, why do you do that? Why do you waste your turn 1 playing this card, and then you get Astalor to death? And there's nothing quite so demoralizing as like getting beaten by a bad deck. By like your opponent plays a bad deck and they play it poorly, and you still lose because the card interaction is just so busted between all the Murlocs or the Astalors or whatever. And it's like, it's just wild things, right? There were so many times last week where I was like, all right, cool, I'm just going to go uninstall. I'll be back next week.
Wow, that was wild.
Yeah.
I have a solution for that.
Yes.
Turn 5 Rokara.
Well, you know,
I had to run away. I'll be exiting stage left.
What happens if they hit it with cold storage on curve? So they cold storage your Rokara, and now they're going to print their own Juggernaut, and now it's your Juggernaut versus their Juggernaut.
I mean, then
that's wild.
That's wild.
Then they've earned it. They've earned it by playing both cold storage and Corrupt the Waters.
Oh, don't diss cold storage like that. I think that's a decent
cold storage is
I don't know.
pretty good.
It's okay.
I have to say, like, I one time as a shaman was able to steal their Rokara for whatever reason. I don't even remember anymore.
Murabi.
Was it Murabi? That'd be hilarious.
You know, I have a golden Murabi, but I've never played it, so it was not Murabi.
When I hit Legend with Frost Shaman with Murabi N, that was why I was able to hit Legend with it, was because of Murabiing.
Oh, God, that's great. Amazing. Awesome. But I was able to play Bran into Rokara and get 2 Juggernauts. It's the most ridiculous thing. Oh, those were good times.
So glorious.
And so terrible. Yeah, so anyways.
It's worth noting, I was going to say that the top of this list, you can make an argument any 3 of these top of these decks. At any point, you could make a decent argument that they might be the best deck in the format. I think you could even stretch that argument down to even Death Knight, Unholy Death Knight, honestly. Like, depending on the matchup spread, depending on MMR, where you're at. Because Pirate Rogue kind of feeds on the Shutterwalk Shaman, and it's getting a lot more even into even Shaman because of the Jolly Roger. That matchup's a lot closer. Sheep, I haven't played a lot of Unholy into Pirate Rogue. Is that closer with the Jolly Roger? Does it feel closer?
No.
Or is it like... Yeah.
Because Plague Strike is dealing 3, it's still pretty heavily favored into the even DK.
So instead of like a 90-10, it's maybe an 80-20 now.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Maybe 85-15.
but then even DK is pretty even into even Shaman, and then Shutterwalk Shaman does pretty well into even DK. So yeah, I can see how that, depending on your rock paper scissors meta, how that could kind of fit in with tier 1. It's probably, it's the top of tier 2 in Tempo Storm. They know what they're talking about for a reason.
It's close. Like you can shuffle a lot of these around. I think the 3 that don't belong in the same conversation would be probably the bottom 3 here. Cthulhu Druid, Combo Priest, and Mind Rogue. I feel like Combo Priest is probably more just sort of hard targeting aggro. Mind Rogue loses to itself, but like we did showcase it on the show a couple weeks ago as like, hey, here's the new Mind Rogue list, and like it's out there and it is brutal when it works, but it's still disruptible. And Cthulhu Druid, kind of for the same reason as like Combo Rogue, it beats up on aggro at low MMR. Like it's fine, it's a solid deck. There's a reason why it's in tier 2, but I think everything above it from like Beast Hunter up, you can make a real case that it's kind of a cut above. Even the Shadow Aggro Priest, which is again built like the standard deck. We're building around undeads now. The pirate version is probably not correct. It's very fragile. This is making some big fellas, giving them reborn, silencing them like your 2 mana 5/5, silencing them so they can go face over and over again. Still running Mind Blast, still running Void Touch Attendant, ton of burn over the top, but just going more tall than wide. And it's a formidable deck, and it does well into Shutter Shaman too. Because again, it's kind of going over the top. Nice Lurgle Tox. You still died.
Yeah, this aggro priest. I'm looking at the list right now. This is a really cool deck.
Yeah, it is.
You would like playing it in standard as well, because like Schmoopie said, it is super similar.
And
we have.
Would I get a kick out of? Would I get a kick out of how many achievement cards are in here, or how many cards were former achievement cards?
Yeah.
Whispers, Incorporeal Corporal, excuse me, Haunted Nightmares, which they buffed. The location you could tangentially slip in. Like there's a lot of achievement cards in here, and somebody actually strung them all together to make a coherent, not just a coherent, but kind of a dominant deck.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
that's a pretty good list. I agree with that list.
We'll see. Today is the 31st of the month. We have about just under 4 hours until the ladder resets for April. So for those people who want to play ladder games before the any sort of cards revert, I guess these would be the decks to play. Otherwise, if you want to experiment or see what kind of craziness is in store for us, we just wait until early to mid next week, and then it's going to be like, I don't know, madness. We'll see what happens. I don't really know what to expect, but well, I don't know. Now I'm on the copium train, hoping for unnerfed Raid the Doc. So if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be pretty sad.
There's dozens of us. There's 2 of us.
I know.
There's you and me. I think
I'm
hoping
for it
like
too.
it.
I'm hoping for it too.
I think
it'd be fine. I'll play it in Dead Man's Hand.
You would.
Oh. Okay.
You know what? Okay. Get this though. I actually lost, really hard loss to a. This is what made me stop playing even Unholy Death Knight. I was so tilted after this game. It was a pirate warrior, right, with a quest, except it was like the control version, and I had my whole giant board, and I had the card ready to buff them all and explode the hero portrait, and they proceeded to brand, and then the kobold thing that does damage and then gets armor, and they ended up with 28 armor, and I was almost fist through monitor. It's just, nope, I'm done.
Oh dear.
I can't do this anymore. I was I think I'm just gonna go to sleep. I was so mad. Oh gosh. But I remember joking about this ages ago that Raid the Docks is actually like, it's an insane control card because of the infinite value, right? And I saw exactly one Raid the Docks Pirate Warrior on my Legend climb, and I lost to it. So there you go.
Must be busted.
It definitely was busted. I don't even think they completed the quest. I think I quit before then.
So what you're telling me then is that any deck that contains Raid the Docks is truly a control deck.
This is the way.
So all you control gamers out there, you really like Raid the Docks because it's a control card.
It is, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I gotta find my pendulum to like.
I'll never forget, right? Like early in the days of Wild, one of the premier Wild streamers, right? Control the board. And what was the pet deck? Pirate Warrior. So there you go.
Like OG Pirate Warrior. Yeah.
It is. I do think, believe it or not, do I think that the card is. I'm not a big fan of Control Warrior. I used to be ages ago, and I don't think I have the patience for it anymore. But I think that the card, like, you could slot it into, if you are really a masochist, right? You could slide it into Odd Warrior.
Dead Man's Hand.
Yeah, you could slot it into Odd Warrior. You could slot it into Dead Man's Hand. You could slot it into any Control Warrior build. And remember when Nelly got nerfed? Mm-hmm. And we said the same thing, right? You don't play it in aggro anymore. Like, you can't play it in Pirate Warrior, but you just throw it in a control deck because it's a value engine. So
boom, now you have inevitability.
Yeah.
There you go. Control Warrior.
I
got a Neon tweet. It's out there. No, it was better during Pillagers and stuff, ironically, because Pillagers have a tough time with Bulwark. So, like, you draw a Bulwark and you kind of buy 4 turns, and that lets your Disruptive Spellbreaker start to, like like eat coins and shadow steps and potions and things that they need to beat you, and that gives you time to, like, play Dirty Rats and stuff. Yeah, just goofy stuff. But no, I do think that it has some life as a control tool, possibly, because especially now that you've got, like, amalgams, you've got that really good, like, mech pirate that you draw a card when you attack, but also you're gaining armor. Like, there's you've got Risky Skipper, you've got the 2/2 that I forget what it is that draws another pirate. Like, you could, with fewer pirates in a control deck, you could make a pretty decent and consistent, like, Raid the Docks package. I don't think it'd be, like, completely crazy to complete the quest and then also, like, you get the little 1-drop that prints a pirate plus amalgam. Like, you don't need to commit that many pirates to the build. And you have redundancy of draw as long as you're running Ankar and, not Hatchet like a degenerate and go from there. And, like, I think you could do all right.
Risky Skipper is terrifying as, like, an aggro player. Like, it's like, oh, cool, I'm going to play a card and all of my other cards are going to blow up.
Neat new card too. That what is it? Is it increase every time you gain armor? You gain an extra 3 or 4, and so, like, combine that with Armor Smith. It's like,
I don't know. Every single tick of Armor Smith counts as 1 instance, so it snowballs really quick.
All I saw all week were the memes about how bad Warrior is.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, in Standard, it's like you have no hope as a Warrior player. In Wild, I think you got some new tools, especially in the Menagerie department.
Yeah.
Just hoping that you can get Tent Trasher down as fast as possible. Is that worth it?
I don't know.
Remains to be
no
seen.
comment, but it's a thing you can do.
Blutrane, this is for you. It's here you go. So, what's Warrior's theme this expansion? It's a fusion of jazz and funk. It's called Junk.
Whoa.
Easy now.
I feel about this.
Hey, it doesn't say shaman. It says
It says warrior.
Oh, I'm more peeved at the two music genres I like kind of being distilled into this crappy thing. I do think just as a tangent, there's been a lot of Twitter drama about the warrior cards, and people pretty unhappy with them.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't know who it was that posted it. They did that, like, that whole like Hearthstone card in 2014 versus Hearthstone card in 2023.
He's Memnarch.
It was Memnarch, the
It was
warrior
Memnarch.
versus rogue in 2023 with the two cards from the same set side by side. I thought that was funny. It'll be interesting to see how it shapes up.
I was
Warrior
did too.
Warrior as a class, much like Control as a concept, is one of those things. Everybody wants a Warrior meta. Everybody wants a Control meta, and then they get one. And the same people who are the self-styled, people who champion this are the ones that complain the most. It's funny how that is. But my tweet of the week goes to Concern Mom. Maybe
Oh, this is awesome.
maybe you shouldn't have complained about Pirate Warrior as much as you did when it was a thing, and then you'd have your Warrior meta.
Heyo.
Yeah, I was like, you touch it with a needle. But I don't know what to make of it. I've made the mistake personally of overvaluing cards without seeing them in context of release and undervaluing things. So, like, I remember Shadehound from the mini set, the Nathria mini set. I thought it was gonna be trash. It's way too slow. That card's never gonna see play. Impossible. And then I played one game with it, and I changed my opinion on a dime. It was the Terra Nuts. Like, how could this not go in the deck? So who knows?
It is.
Although
It's hard
not looking good
until
for
it's hard to know until you've actually played. You're right.
although it's
That's
not looking good for
Questline
Warrior.
Druid for me.
And
Questline Druid blew me out of the water when I started playing it, like in Stormwind, like day one. I was like, this is real. How is this real?
Was it real because of Demon Seed, or was it real? I guess it doesn't matter the reason why, but
it doesn't matter. It was real at the time, and like I was not for nothing. A lot of people were playing Questline Hunter, and I was playing odd Questline Druid into them, and so like I was winning a lot of games. But like some cards you just need to see play out and need to see the loops.
Yeah.
And so much of, especially this point in the expansion reveal, now we've seen everything. Now people get to start experimenting with stuff and theory crafting to experiment. And having some critiques and criticisms of the cards, I think is fair and memeing on it. But as soon as people start attacking the devs, that, in my mind, is a step too far. Because, fair critiques is one thing, but as soon as you start attacking people, I'm not a fan of that personally.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I don't. I agree. It's funny to like dunk on the cards, and part of it is just I like the memes, right? But I'm still on the Menagerie Warrior like copium, so whatever. But no, it's never personal. For heaven's sake, like don't make it personal. It's not
exactly.
I think after 8 years, we'd learn by now to reserve judgment and to try and be kind to one another. But we seem to not live and don't learn. That's the human experience.
I still remember thinking that I think the Demon Seed was going to be bad, right? I scored it pretty poorly. So
I did too.
Until we see these come out, it's really actually a little bit difficult to know what's going to happen. So we'll see.
That was very funny because sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that wiser words were never spoken.
Oh yeah, there you go. We should talk about our listener series real quick though. And then like we've got a match to cast. So
yeah, we do. So this week is week 4 of the listener series, Lords of Icecrown. For those of you who may not be familiar or who missed last season's listener series, the Born to be Wild listener series is a free Wild Hearthstone tournament series with custom deck building restrictions each week. The main series lasts 5 weeks, followed by 3 weeks of playoffs. We are going into week 4, the penultimate week of the regular season. This week is called Attack on the Sunwell. So we'll turn it over to recorded Goliath the Dwarf to go over the lore element.
Wait, I didn't actually like edit the recording yet, so I'll do it in my most epic voice.
Even better.
Under orders from his new master, Arthur.
Arthas retrieved the ashes of Kel'Thuzad to raise him as a lich using a powerful elven font of magic, the Sunwell. During an unstoppable march of undead to claim it, the well's blood elven defenders were slain and raised into undeath. Their kingdom of Silvermoon was destroyed, for nothing could stand against the might of the Scourge.
Very nice.
Nate, it's a good thing that you're not trying to start a career in being a Goliath impersonator because
I know I'm pretty bad at it.
that was the laugh of the night for me. Well done.
Well, I'm glad that I could. I'm glad that I could give you a chuckle. I started listening to this. Like, I go off the tangent for just 2 seconds, I promise. I started listening to this podcast by Freddie Prinze Jr. It's called Now That Was Scary, and him and his buddy talk about horror movies that they've watched, and he does the epic narrator voice each week, but he does his impression of the epic narrator voice, where like he reads the description off of IMDb, and it's so funny. And that's what I had in the back of my mind, and I'm just really bad at it. Under orders from his new master, Arthas retrieved the ashes of Kel'Thuzad. All right, it's really bad, really bad.
So for this week, the primary challenge is that each deck must contain at least 15 spells. And spells must be at least 4 different mana costs. More of them is okay, but at least 4 different mana costs. Secondary challenge, however, only spells from 2 spell schools can be used in each deck. Each player must use at least 4 spells per spell schools. Additionally, spells that are general/neutral can be used in any and all decks. So, of course, the different spell schools: Arcane, Fel, Fire, Frost, Holy, Nature, Shadow, and Neutral. So no spell school. One additional wrinkle is that the Sunwell must be included in all decks. So while the Sunwell itself is a holy spell, for this challenge, it is considered a neutral. So it does not count towards the spell school kind of addition. So if one has 3 other holy spells and tries to make the Sunwell count, unfortunately it doesn't. But also it does not count against the spell school restriction either, so you're not hamstrung into playing a holy as one of your 2 spell schools for the entire week.
I am excited to play this week. We play tomorrow. I'm playing against Azalea Akari tomorrow evening, and so I read the rules wrong when I built my decks, which is really funny because I helped write them.
Oh no!
And so I made in my decks, the spells are exactly 4 mana costs. Most of them are like 1, 2, 3, and 4. Some of them are different, but like there was exactly 4. And then I think it was Dr. BUMD's like, hey, it was late last night, right? Or late Wednesday night, right before submission deadlines. Hey, can you check out my decks? And I was like, bro, your deck's not valid. He's like, what do you mean it's not valid? Like, it was like, you have like way more than 4 spell costs in here. Like, you're supposed to be 4. He's like, dude, it's like at least 4.
That's a minimum.
And then I looked at the rules and I was like, I was like, no. Yeah, I'm like, I think my decks are pretty creative, but I am also not like really trying to win. I'm like trying to have fun, so I'm not real worried about it. But yeah, this one was an interesting week to try to build around. I like it a lot better than we've done. Like in the past, we did like spell week where it was like all spells. And I think that this is a lot more fun. The restriction on spell schools made it kind of interesting, and because there's a minimum number of minions in the deck. Oh, sorry, I cut you off before you got there. You can't just do like all spells, and so it makes it interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. So speaking of, the final deck building restriction is, of course, the weekly one entitled The Scourge Grows. So there must be a minimum of, this week it's 7 undead minions in all decks for each player. So like Nate said, you can't have all spell decks because you have to have at least 7 undead minions. Keeps that from being a thing.
There's some decent undead minions. I was kind of surprised, but as it turns out, Mad Scientist is an undead. Blood Mage Thalnos is undead, and there's a couple other good ones. I built a
Lotheb. I lost to Godfrey this week.
Godfrey's undead. Lotheb is undead.
Yeah.
There's actually a card, I've never played it before outside of the listener series. It's a hunter card. Like so when they did the update to the minions, like Stitch Tracker now is undead.
Yeah, Stitch Tracker, sure.
But there's a 1 mana one. It's called like Tricky Tracker or some kind of tracker name. It's 1 mana and it draws a 1 mana.
Tracker,
yeah, it draws a 1 mana spell. Dude, that's a good listener series card.
It's a good card in general, and it's in the Questline Hunter deck that I have that OTZ built, and it's nasty because again, it's getting your hands on a 1 mana spell immediately.
Yeah,
which helps progress the quest, and you can use it if you need to proc an objection or rat bait or what have you, before you drop your Tavish.
Nice. I actually built a Questline Hunter for this week. I felt like such a bad person. I know. I see you looking disapprovingly over there.
Should have brought Questline Hunter.
I kid.
So here's my trick. I wait until like 11 p.m. on Wednesday night to build all my decks, and then I'm all stressed out trying to submit them before the deadline. And if anybody thinks that like we have an advantage because we made the rules, like, nah, we're so busy that we forget about it until like right up before, and then build terrible decks is what happens. At least that's me.
I help design the challenges, and I actively think would this be cool to build a deck? And my head is completely blank as to actual ideas of what to do. I'm just mostly just checking, okay, this is meta, this is meta, this is meta, this is meta. Do any of these decks really fit? Yes, no. If answer is no, good challenge, move on. And I don't remember anything, obviously, because
here we are.
Here we are. I'm 3-1 this season, so unlucky.
I mean, maybe you'll end up at the finals. Who knows?
1-3, excuse me. No.
I guess it's too late for that, but
yeah, math.
Anyways, I'm excited. I was worried that we were not going to be able to cast a match this evening because it was a very busy week, and I unfortunately neglected to even ask people if they were interested in streaming a match until yesterday. And at this point, most people have already played theirs or have scheduling issues. But we're gonna do a cast match tonight that will be a scrimmage match, basically, not for points, but it'll be a showcase anyhow of this week's decks and the challenges between SchmoopieDaddy and Kay. I'm really excited to see. In particular, Kay is fantastic at the Demon Hunter decks. We did a little bit of play testing over the week, and maybe it's not this. Maybe it was this week. The days all blend together for me. I like working a lot and not sleeping very much. But I told SchmoopieDaddy this morning, don't ban the Demon Hunter. I want to see it.
So if you too would like to see that Demon Hunter,
use of power.
Meanwhile, my policy is don't let Kay play Demon Hunter. Whatever you do, don't let Kay play Demon Hunter. But maybe I'll my hand will slip when I pick what deck I'm gonna ban. So for the sport of it.
Oh dear.
So for those of you who are watching live, stay after the podcast and we will cast that show match momentarily. However, if you are watching on YouTube or listening to the audio version of the podcast, head on over to YouTube or stay on YouTube, but click a different video if you're already there. Nate will have the video version posted typically actually right before the podcast is posted. So like it'll be there as well.
Yeah. It'll be up over the weekend. So yeah, check them out. They're super fun to cast and to watch and to play. And wow, I can't believe we're almost into week 5 already. So I'm excited, and I appreciate that people are willing to let us cast their match. It's very fun. It's one of the highlights of my week. So appreciate that. All right, friends. Well, I think that is basically a wrap for the show. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it, and excited to see what we have in store for us next week as we get some reverts, hopefully. And oh gosh, I want to call it like Revert Ryan. It's so great.
Ooh, especially if that conviction gets unnerved. Oh yeah.
I wouldn't mind jamming some Odd Paladin.
Right?
I'd rather jam Raid the Docks, but I'll take what I can get.
Hey, it's the only deck I have built on EU.
Oh no!
Maybe Barnstorm EU once more.
I'd love to. Oh
hilarious.
boy. Oh boy. All right, friends. Well, somebody quick say something smart.
Say something smart.
Oh my god, just a bunch of dads. All right, wiser words were never spoken. And you heard that on
Born to be wild.
Wow, I think I need to turn the volume down a little bit.
That was on the louder side.
Sorry.
Intense.
I thought it was excellent.
So is your face.